The Lakers finally pick up a win against a good team, and they do it with defense. Is that something they can build on with a tough schedule coming up? We'll tell you next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, even on holidays, and now more than once a day, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's never going to be locked behind a paywall, whether you're getting it through Spotify or Apple, no matter how you're doing it. You're helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network anywhere, in any universe, anywhere. Brian Kamenetsky and Andy Kamenetsky covered the Lakers for nearly 20 years with ESPN, with The Athletic, with the LA Times. Plenty to unpack from Sunday's very, very badly needed 110-97 win over the Knicks, whether that's talking just about their record against the good teams in the league, a nice bounce back game for Austin Reaves, who was aggressive from the jump. So lots of good stuff to get into, Andy, but we'll start with the way they won this game. And it was based entirely on their defense, because the offense was no great shakes throughout.
Well, particularly in the fourth quarter, I thought the offense really stalled. And that was really the moment where the Lakers had no choice other than to rely on their defense, which had been really good throughout this entire game. Like, this was one of the best wins of the season, period. But it may very well be their best defensive win of the season. And in that fourth quarter, especially where the Knicks were starting to make a push, they got it down to 10 or 9.
10, I believe, was this.
A couple times during the game. And the Lakers kept relying on some combination of stops or activity, disruption, physicality, like across the board. Everybody who played in this game had a role, not just in the win, but specifically the defense of the win. Like, this was the rare Laker game where it felt like nobody was a weak spot at all.
Yeah. And, it's fun. Like, New York, let's be very clear here, is an excellent offensive team. I believe they came into the game third in offensive efficiency. And
averaging 117 heading into this game.
So, this is a good group. They can score. And I am not going to say, like, every game has this where there's like variance in shot making, and Luka hit a couple shots falling out of bounds, like as he sometimes does, and all of that. Like, so there is always going to be some variance in shot making. The Knicks missed some open threes that they might normally make. Okay, fine. That's going to happen. The Lakers missed some open threes they can normally make. What was consistent throughout, and that where you can point to and say that's the defense. So maybe you want to be a skeptic. You don't want to point to New York's shooting percentage. Fine. Point to the turnovers. Point to the turnovers forced, the number of hands that the Lakers got on passes and second efforts, third efforts, block shots, things like that. Those are tangible measurements of effort and execution. And the Lakers, I thought, got straight A's across the board. Like, I know people are talking in the chat about Marcus Smart. I know, Andy, you're going to talk about, what Smart was doing. He was 1 for 10 from the field, 1 for 10, and finished the game at a plus 27 to lead both teams by a mile. And look, plus minus, it's not the perfect measurement of stuff. When you're plus 27, you're obviously having a pretty good impact. And when you only make 1 of 10 shots, it tells you how much other stuff you were doing.
Yeah, there was a sequence in the second quarter where Marcus Smart, he missed back-to-back open looks, and he missed some shots that he normally will, or if nothing else, should make. But on the second of those misses, he got back and on defense and drew a charge on Josh Hart. And he drew the 4th foul on OG Anunoby on a charge with a little bit over a minute left in the third quarter. The Lakers in general did a really good job drawing fouls on key members of the Knicks, but just there were so many plays where Marcus Smart was just all over the place, and his energy and relentlessness was felt. There was one point where he ended up in the courtside seats because he was chasing down a loose ball, ended up in a collision with Bill Maher. So, extra points for Marcus Smart on that one. And it was just
Not a fan.
Extra points for Marcus Smart on that one. So it was just, his play in this game, I saw in the chat, I don't remember who, but someone said that they thought Marcus Smart set the tone for the Lakers in this game defensively. And if nothing else, I think Marcus made sure that the tone, whoever you want to credit for setting it, maintained for the entire 48 minutes. Believe it or not, I actually think DeAndre Ayton was one of the guys who helped set the tone in this game defensively. Like, he didn't a ton of minutes. His stats will not jump off the sheet. And if you didn't watch the game, you might think that DeAndre did not have much of an impact, particularly in the first quarter. Ayton was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, he played stretches. His big stretches were in the first and in the third, and he was active. We'll talk about Ayton before the end of the show, or maybe over the course of the week. But he was getting the typical treatment from Shaq, from Barkley at halftime about not having. I think he had 2 points at the half, and it's like I have some thoughts.
Go to demand the ball, park up, posting.
Yeah, basically, but
like a big man.
But like how we talk about Ayton and what is considered a good game for him probably needs to change. I do want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into bigger. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So here's some numbers from your stars. Luka and AR combined for 60 points, 35 for Luka, 25 for Austin. Luka had 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Austin had 4 rebounds, 5 assists, only 1 turnover. But they had 5 steals between the two of them. Austin also blocked a shot. Those guys were really active defensively. And, you talk about them being your weak links, and there's no question that they are.
Well, I will say,
relatively speaking, Luka's not as bad as he gets credit.
No, but I beyond the not as bad as the reputation, the last couple weeks, I actually think Luka's defense, forget being better than the reputation or whatever, I actually think it's been pretty good.
It has been, but like there are certain very noticeable ways that he can still sometimes be probably like does not have the quickest feet. Guys in the open floor can do blow-bys and stuff like that. By the way, it happens to almost all NBA players that they get beat off the dribble that way. But the effort has been there, and his anticipation in passing lanes. I think he's gambling a little bit less. The biggest problem with Luka defensively often is he's not there because he's complaining at the other end. And so
this is the hidden upside to the 15th technical.
It is.
Like,
it really
he just has to smile politely or curse at guys in Slovenian, like something like that. Like, which, side note, I don't know why guys like Luka, who are multilingual, don't do this stuff more in a different language.
I wonder. I think that I would imagine referees at a certain point do know that they're being cursed at in another language, but it is probably.
But if you say it with like a smile,
it's easier to ignore if it's like I know how to say X, Y, and Z in Spanish or Italian or Serbian or Slovenian or all of the other languages that you're going to encounter in the NBA. I may, as a referee over time, learn those things, but it's easy. I have plausible deniability if you curse at me in a foreign language.
No, I mean, you just say something in Slovenian and be like, look, I don't know what translation you're going with. This is like regional slang. Like people in my own city growing up barely understand this. Like, come on. Got this. This is just what the kids say when I was like a teenager.
IRL. But like those two guys were part of a very strong defensive effort. And, JJ talked about it after the game. Like a lot of it is second effort, third effort. Are you quick to the ball? Are you, there was a different plays where, 2 or 3 guys are part of, a tipped ball. And then, I think you mentioned that sequence on the baseline where Smart grabs a Vando, like ends up, keeping a ball alive after and then, Smart grabs it and throws it off, another player. I think that was,
Smart had a couple plays like that.
Yeah. It was just like those, but those are like, I think it was actually Jackson. It was Jackson and Smart who were involved in that one. Like those are plays that just involve 2 or 3 extra bits of effort. And honestly, you wouldn't necessarily even be dinged if nobody would notice if you didn't see that last one or something like that. And the Lakers put in all of that throughout the game. We want to talk about Austin. We want to talk about the upcoming schedule and what this might do, because you may have heard the Lakers have struggled against the best teams in the league. So plenty more to cover on a great 110-97 win on Sunday next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Quo. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can cost business money, it's messy communication. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what, and that's why today's episode, brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, is the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or an opportunity. Everything lives in one clean thread: calls, text, voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation, so nothing falls through the cracks. It just makes your business feel more organized, more responsive. Make this the season that no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
Locked on Liquor is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. It makes every dunk, assist, and big play that much more exciting. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app, and it's super simple to use, which is kind of what I like about it. You're picking more or less on 2 to 6 players with their stat projections, and if your picks are right, you cash in. That's it. You can build lineups across all kinds of sports, whether baseball, hockey, college hoops, soccer, golf, whatever you're into, you can do that with Prize Picks. And you can also take advantage of early payouts. If your player is off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out winnings before the game is even finished. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's talk about centers real quick, because, whether it's Ayton, Jackson gave them good minutes, Maxey gave them some good time on the floor. This seems to me to be the model: 10 minutes from Maxey, 17 from Jackson, 20 from Ayton, against teams with bigs and stuff. Like, this is why it matters if Ayton's around, if Maxey's available, because all 3 of them perform slightly different functions. Jackson obviously is very bouncy. He's the best above the rim finisher with Luka and all that kind of stuff. Ayton sets a little bit, meaner screen, and does that kind of stuff, and, has some, different defensive capabilities. And Kleba is kind of your defensive quarterback when he plays, with good passer things. They all do stuff slightly differently. It matters when they're all available. And you could see on Sunday, I thought, JJ taking advantage of the skill sets of all 3 of them and applying them where in the game that they needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily the model or formula moving forward, because LeBron.
I don't mean like in terms of like that's the number of minutes they're going to play, but I mean
no. I just mean
mixing and matching where you want the right player.
No, I understand that. I'm saying I don't even know if that holds, because a lot of this calculus changes if LeBron's available. Like,
sure,
those front court minutes change dramatically if LeBron can play. He didn't play in this game because of that elbow injury that he incurred versus Denver. I had some concerns. Like, I wasn't surprised that he missed the Indiana game, second end of a back-to-back the Lakers should be able to beat the Pacers with or without LeBron, but I had some concerns that it might be more of a one-game absence. I'm hoping that it doesn't stretch into Tuesday versus the Wolves. LeBron did go through a pregame workout. He had been a game-time decision, so if nothing else, that hopefully means he will be close to being back. I know based on the chatter in the comments section, also on Twitter that I saw at Cam Brothers, this game serves as confirmation that the Lakers are better without LeBron, that they can win more games without LeBron. I don't think the Lakers become better without LeBron, but what I do think this game demonstrates is how much cleaner it is when you have two ball dominant offensive focal points to work around than three. Like the math just becomes simpler. The formula just becomes simpler. So it speaks to the challenge of making it all work and maximizing all three of those guys, or really maximizing LeBron and Austin. It is no entirely a coincidence, no entire coincidence that Austin had this game without LeBron, simply because his opportunities and usage went up. He, I thought, did a better job of, making shots, getting into the paint, being aggressive. JJ talked before the game about wanting to see Austin be more aggressive in the moments he's on the court, regardless of who is or who is not out there with him. But there's no question that LeBron's absence, it creates certain problems in terms of what you get from LeBron and how do you replicate it, find it in other places. But from a pure simplicity standpoint, it makes things easier. And that's the riddle that the Lakers are figuring out over the rest of the regular season and during the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, let's just stick on that, because we're going to get to Austin in a few minutes anyway. Like I said, like I thought the other night against the Pacers, for example, like he started off really slow. He had trouble getting his shot, getting his shot to fall. 1 of 8 in the first half, 5 of second, I think, in the second. And in this one, it was, JJ said, they've been trying to drill into him. We need you to be offensively very aggressive. We want you to think of yourself as a scorer. We want you to call your own number and all that. And Austin's creating both looks for himself and good looks for other people. When he gets in the paint, good things happen for the Lakers, whether he's the one who finishes the play ultimately or not. Austin finished the game 8 of 16. He got to the line 7 times. Again, 5 assists against only 1 turnover. He got shots to fall, but I do think, which always helps. But I do think there was a little bit of a difference in sort of the confidence with which he was playing, and sort of the knowledge that there's going to be another shot for me the next trip down, and there's going to be another one. Like
you can build more rhythm too. It's not even just about your shot count. It's I will have a chance to just build into a comfort zone.
And he's a guy who, it's funny to watch. Like you can sit there and like, there's a lot of sometimes efforting to get to his spot or what looks like it, because he just doesn't generally beat guys, with the blow by on the perimeter or whatever. There's usually some sort of change of speed or a little change of direction and all that. But at the moment where the shot goes up, you can be like, ooh, okay, he's getting like, that's a clean look. And for the most part, I've been thinking in the last 3 or 4 games, the looks have been pretty clean once he gets to them. He's missing a lot of shots. But the difference between Sunday and I think is like what you say, it's that usage, and also the knowledge that it's not even you were right there with Luka. Like you're not going to win unless you go out and try to get yourself 25, 30 points.
Yeah. Also, too, I mean, and this is another piece of the puzzle with LeBron. Like, part of the reason the Lakers won this game was their defense. And a big piece of that defense, I mean, really probably the biggest reason in really that they won this game was their defense, because especially the fourth quarter, the offense stalls out. They really had to rely on a level of defense that they really played for 48 minutes. And this Lakers team, whether you're talking about last year and the run that they had with that super switchy defense that for a while was like the number one defense in the league until it wasn't, or what we saw today, which wasn't necessarily fueled by super switchiness. The commonality in both of those is playing hard for 48 minutes. Like the energy level of, I thought the entire team from start to finish was as high as any game I can recall this season. And in order for the Lakers to be the best defensive version of themselves, they have to play super high energy engagement basketball, period. They have no other choice. That's the only way they can make this work. And that is harder with LeBron at this stage of his career. That is just harder for him to do. It's harder for them to do, which again speaks to another piece of the puzzle to figure out. There are obvious upsides to having LeBron out there as well. And, you know, the work that we've seen the Lakers over the last couple of weeks or so operating out of the post with LeBron being more facilitator from that spot than actual scorer, that's a real weapon for
it is.
Team
And how they play. I do think though how they play defensively is it's somewhat dependent. Like LeBron has been, I think as a team they've been better. LeBron has been better, but you can't ask him to. There are certain things you just can't do at a 36-minute a night level, or at least hasn't shown that he's able to do that over the course of the season. Now, does that mean the test is going to be once he's able to get back in the lineup? Does that change? Does the amount of effort that he can put out defensively change over the last, 20 games, give or take, of the year and into the playoffs? If the answer is yes, no problems. If the answer is no, JJ has some really difficult things to try to balance. But it's also too, it's like it's everybody too. Like, Rui had 7 rebounds in this game. Like,
Rui was really good in this game, man. He was really good.
Ayton was plugged in terms of his effort and energy and attention. And Jackson was like that. And all this, like Luka was putting out the effort. Like they need all of it. And then they have to figure out this portion with LeBron. And also too, like I think their offense gets worse. Not just like LeBron can't play defense. It's the offense with all 3 of them has not been as good, which impact. There's all kinds of stuff that they have to unpack with this, which we will continue doing, by the way, next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. And from early tip-offs to the late night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. FanDuel is giving you now a way to turn that energy into bigger potential wins with college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, non-ranked scrappers, the little underdogs that you love to root for. You can mix spreads, totals, player props. You can go safe, go bold, or just ride with the team that you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, and now with more upside behind it. Plus, you can apply that profit boost and instantly bump up the payout potential. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game.
Locked on Lakers also brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, the one position you have to fill. It's still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. That's skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that really drives it home. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time interviewing when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. So just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and show support for Locked On Lakers by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. So the question is sort of like how they build, like, because this is they got Minnesota on Tuesday, a bit of a break, if you will, against
the Bulls,
and then it's like pure gauntlet here.
It's Denver, 2 games against Houston, Miami, Orlando, and then the Pacers on the 25th. So between now and that Pacers game, I guess the easiest one would be Miami. But if that's your easiest game over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if that's your easiest game over the next 7, other than the Bulls, that's
tough stretch.
It's a tough stretch.
Miami's not very good, but they are always a challenge to play. You always have to show that you. So, my big thing is like, can they? I think they needed to win this game. Like, this was an important game, not just in the standings, where the Lakers are still, despite everything we keep talking about, are right up there with a chance still to finish third, especially given their games against Houston. But given everything that they needed to try to sort of quiet people about, a loss on Sunday would have been really, really problematic. Instead, they get the win, and the question now becomes, how successfully do you think you can build on it? If you beat Minnesota on Tuesday, you're functionally going to be tied with them in the standings. They're only a game behind Houston right now. They move into a tie with Denver. They're now 2.5 games ahead of Phoenix.
I mean, they're 2-0 against Minnesota this year. Really, they already have the tiebreaker.
But like,
game on Tuesday is about the seedings. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. You can catch them outright. For the time being, at least, with a win. And so, going into these games, how much can you sustain? How much can they learn and build that muscle memory of what they did to be successful? Again, not in making New York miss open shots, but in the kind of defensive disruption that caused turnovers, that contested rebounds, that got loose balls and all that.
Well, I mean, we talked about the effort and energy on the defensive end, but the Lakers out offensive rebounded the Knicks, a team with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart, 12-10. Like, when is the last time you remember the Lakers winning the battle on the offensive boards? Take it a step further. They won the second chance points battle, 15-9. When is the last time you remember the Lakers winning that particular battle? And those are also elements of physicality and effort and, getting to every 50-50 ball. Like, this was a game, and we had some concerns heading into not just a matinee game, which NBA players generally hate to play, but a matinee game on the first day of daylight savings, which makes it feel even an hour earlier than they think is like a human rights violation to play at. So like this, there were concerns in and of itself just with the timing of this game. And this marks a really important stretch for the Lakers moving forward, just from their own mentality and mindset. I think proof of concept, like, even if you believe in yourself, like 5,000 foot view, you need the proof that what you're doing works. Otherwise, after a while, it just becomes an exercise in talking yourself into believing what you want, and arguably just being Pollyanna about stuff. Like, you actually got to win the games.
Yeah, I agree. And like, at some point, it's, like the Denver game, for example, there were good things to pull from it. Like, I don't think that game was hardly a disaster. The first 3 minutes were, and that's basically what they spent the rest of the game trying to overcome. But the game itself was not. Like, they fought really hard in that game. They, a lot of the things that they did defensively you could actually, draw in terms of energy and effort and things like that. You could go back to the Denver game and say, that was there too. And, I think JJ pointed out, like, they're a top 15 defense over the last
They
25
held
games.
Jamal Murray to 8 points over the last 4 minutes of the first half and all of the second half. Like, it was a lot like the last time they played Denver, albeit in a win, where Jamal Murray had 26 points in the first half, torched them, held to 2 in the second. Like, in this recent loss against the Nuggets, Jamal Murray had 9 of his 28 points in the first 2 minutes and 55 seconds. He had 20 in, I guess, the first 20 minutes of the game. He had 8 from the rest moving onward. Nikola Jokic had 9 turnovers. Like, they did do a fair amount good in that game. They just dug themselves way too big of a hole. This game against the Knicks, they led wire to wire.
And it also, to me at least, emphasizes the difference between winning and losing. Like, they in the locker room need to be process oriented. They can look at it and be like, we do get we didn't win. We got to within a possession. If we keep doing those things in the next game, we got a chance to win. And look, they, in a lot of ways they did, and they won the game. But at some point, you need to win a game. Like, you can build and you can see, but these are human beings, and you need to see, like you called it earlier, proof of concept that the stuff you're doing will be good enough. And, when you go out and you beat a Knicks team that has been as good as any team in the East over the last, few weeks, they are, that's what that is. And, it was super important. And I just want to see, can they build that muscle? They spent so long being so bad on that side of the ball, and they've gotten better. But this was one of the few games where you've seen it where everyone was kind of doing it the same way, where there weren't any holes really in what they were trying to do defensively, and everybody's attention and everybody's effort. Everybody's going to make mistakes. You're going to miss a rotation. You're going to, get buried on a screen sometimes, or, late to try to take a charge, whatever it might be. But if you're constantly at least trying and trying to hit all the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, that is like step one.
Like I said, of the, 10 Lakers who stepped on the court today, none of them were a defensive weak link. And I do not remember the last time I've said that, if I've said that this season about the Lakers. Like, even in a game where I thought they played well defensively, there would be 1 or 2 guys that you need to work around, or maybe even a few guys, but Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt, and I don't know, like Laravia's activity, or Ayton or Hayes around the rim with some blocks, like offset what was going on, or LeBron has a couple chase down blocks or whatever. Like, all 10 guys in this game defended at worst like a neutral. I actually think everyone out there contributed as a plus, and that was huge in making sure this win happened. Because again, the fourth quarter, their offense really, really struggled. And not because they weren't executing, it's because they weren't making shots. They missed a lot of open looks, and they managed to offset this by forcing the Knicks into just as many misses.
Yeah, I'd sort of disagree about the idea that they weren't, that they were executing. I mean, they did miss a lot of open shots, but I also think that the movement offensively kind of ground to a halt. I was not super enthusiastic about the way they were generating a lot of their shots.
Well, I also thought, to be fair, I thought the Knicks also cranked up their defense.
Oh, they absolutely did.
In the second half in particular, they really started harassing Luka and Austin with the ball. Like, I think they were making it more difficult for the Lakers, to give the Knicks some credit.
And the Lakers responded to that pressure by mostly just sort of, all right, Luka, you try. Okay. All right, Austin, you try. And that's basically where it went. And so this was a fun game to watch. In terms of the results, it's kind of a choppy game, but like, two teams working hard, a lot of good talent on the floor. Very positive win for the Lakers. So plenty more to break down over this, get you ready for the rest of the week. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. Do check the show notes. Look for that Everydayer Club. See if it's for you. We'll see everyone next time.